All right, so after looking at the weather, I'm going to change it up. I'm not gonna finish the boxes yet. I gotta get these in-ground beds ready. It's gonna storm really bad this weekend, and this dirt that the pigs tilled up is nice and easy to rake right now, but if it gets rained on, it's not gonna be. It's gonna be a pain in the butt. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that now. What's going on, everybody? It is Cam here, Easy Work Acres, and today we're going to be tearing down these raised beds and building some new ones. So today is about day 3 of us working on this garden since we got started on the other raised beds over there. I got about an hour this afternoon to get some stuff done. So what I'm gonna do for that hour is just tear this stuff down, and then we'll get into building these raised beds back up. And we're actually gonna be making 4 more of these cedar picket raised beds that are about, I wanna say they were like 2 foot tall, and which worked out really, really well for us, for the sake that that's like the perfect height for my wife to where she's not having to bend over into the garden beds. But I'm gonna tear this out, and then we're gonna start building back, and we'll have 4 new raised beds by the end of this video. Also, we have the pigs over here tilling up our in-ground bed where we're gonna be putting the in-ground lanes here. We got happy pigs over here, cute little tail wag over there, just looking adorable, just in here doing their thing. But this is actually probably going to be one of the last places that we move them to before we just move them back down to a 2-acre paddock, where they can kind of have a lot more space to roam, and they'll be in some woods where they get some shade, because now that it's getting hot, I don't want them out here in just like the straight up sun or anything. So we're gonna end up moving them. Plus, we're gonna end up needing this fence for goats sometime later this year, maybe in the next month or so. We'll be moving goats on the farm, and that is what that fencing was bought for in the first place. So that's to come too. But let's get back to the raised beds. All right, so that pretty much went way faster than I thought it would. I guess when stuff's rotted out, it pops right out of there. But I was able to tear off the sides on everything, get any nails and screws that were left behind from the wood. And now I think all I'm gonna do is start moving some dirt from there to just pile on right here, because I plan on putting a bed there, a bed there, a bed there, and a bed there, like in a square. All of them are 6 foot by 3 foot. And I'm gonna just start by moving some of the dirt there, so when I start backfilling that one, it's right next to it, I can fill that up, and then so on and so forth, and just kind of move the dirt so I'm not losing all of this dirt. Now, this isn't gonna be the topsoil that I'm gonna be planting in. This is more so gonna be filler for the bottom half probably, and again, I'll top with compost just like I'm doing with those over there. And this stuff was for sure just done. I mean, it was rotted. There's nothing left. There's like a solid section on each of these long ones, but other than that, it's all rotted out pretty bad. I don't even think it's worth trying to save the solid sections, just because there's enough rot on it that I feel like it's just gonna keep getting worse over time. So I do have scrap wood I'm gonna use in conjunction with the new cedar pickets that I have here, but definitely not gonna be reusing anything that I had from these raised beds here, because it's rough. All right, we got that dirt moved, and Lord, that was way more dirt than I thought it was. Always is. But that's it for today, and that's kind of how it goes sometimes. Is I might only get an hour out here to get anything done for the day. We got all kinds of stuff going on all the time. We got our day jobs, we have church, we have jujitsu with the kids, we have all kinds of stuff going on. So with that being said, you are never too busy to garden or farm or do any of that stuff. You just have to keep things within time frames that you're able to handle it. And right now, like, we're early enough in the season that there's no rush on the garden. We're just trying to work on it day by day as we can. So keep that in mind when you're doing this kind of stuff. Only take on as much as you think you can handle, but also don't stop yourself from doing something because you don't think you can handle it. Because a lot of times you might be able to, you just have to ease into it little by little. And we figured that out last year, where we way overdid it and then got screwed when it came time to actually trying to take care of our garden. So that's it for right now. And in the next clip, we will be right back at it to build some raised beds. Alrighty, it is day 4 out here working in this garden bed. Got my truck out here with the trailer. After a failed attempt at getting the pigs on that daggone trailer to pull them down to the big area, we're gonna make a big switch with our 2 fully grown pigs to move them out here, and the little pigs out there. It just was a disaster. They made their way back to the big pigs, luckily, and we have all of them in one area, but we still got to get them separated again. But aside from that, I'm ready to get this place looking less like a construction site and more like a garden. So we're gonna build these raised beds. Like I said in a previous video, these are gonna be 3 by 6 foot raised beds made from cedar picket fence. The boards were a little steeper than they were the last time I made these. I think they went up to about $4 a plank, and before, I wanna say it was like closer to $3. So $1 a board when I had to get 48 boards, it adds up. It's an extra 50 bucks versus the last time I made these. And I'm making 4 of these, but this will make those 2 foot tall, 3 by 6 foot beds. And we'll get it rocking on these. Got the table saw out here. Got some 2x4s and 2x6s I already had. Them 2x6s have been chilling, waiting for a job. This is the job for them. Same for the 2x4s. Let's get after it. All right, just to give you a little context of what I just did with the cuts, is these cedar pickets are 6 foot long. So I cut a bunch of them just right in half, right at 3 feet. That way I have, 3 feet lengths for the short sides, and then the other planks make the full length 6 foot sides on these beds. Now what I'm gonna be doing from here is cutting the inside and outside corners like I did here. Now I didn't do that in my last video where I've actually made these boxes before. I think the outside bracing is really helpful, and I like that I was able to use 2x6s here because that extra width definitely sturdies up the sides, getting sandwiched from 2 sides, and then the 2x6 is just covering a little bit more board on the sides. So I'm going to be cutting boards for that. Now it turns out that these beds are a little shy of a full 2 feet. They're actually, I think it was 22 1/4 inch, so like they're 1 3/4 inches short of a full 2 feet. So the boards that I'm putting in the corners, I'm actually cutting 21 3/4, so about a 1/2 inch short, so that they are actually off the ground. So the cedar planks are sitting on the ground, but the corners are not, because I don't want those corners, because they're made of pine, to be soaking up a bunch of water in the ends. I plan on coating all of these boxes with some stain at some point to kind of help make them last even longer, specifically because of the pine, and that it'll wear out over time. So I'm going to be coating those down. But that's the lengths I'm going to be cutting the corners, doing that next, and then we'll get to bracing up these corners and get these boxes filled. Alrighty, so we got all the boards cut. Now we're about to put these bad boys together, stacking the planks 4 high with the corner braces. Pretty straightforward, basically just putting it in the corners. And when you are using these cedar boards, by the way, 100% pre-drill your holes if you're gonna make these, because if you don't, you're likely gonna split the cedar planks. They're thin, they're not very thick boards, and 2, they're very, very well dried. So they crack and split real easy if you try and drive a screw straight through. So pre-drill your holes before you put your screws in. It's a little more time consuming, but it's worth not just trashing a bunch of boards that just cost you $4 a piece. But let's get to it. Gonna piece them together and we can start filling them up. First new box built. It's looking pretty good, looking pretty solid. Now we just got to do it like 3 more times. I think that took me right at about an hour to cut all that stuff and then get this first one together. So hopefully these next 3 go faster, since I don't have to cut anything at this point. It's just piecing it together. All right, so after looking at the weather, I'm going to change it up. I'm not gonna finish the boxes yet. I gotta get these ground beds ready. It's gonna storm really bad this weekend, and this dirt that the pigs tilled up is nice and easy to rake right now, but if it gets rained on, it's not gonna be. It's gonna be a pain in the butt. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that now. Basically what I'm gonna do is rake away to flatten out the areas. I'm gonna put the weed fabric down to where there's mounds to plant in between the rows. So you'll kind of see what I'm talking about once I'm actually really in the works of it. But I'll show you what I got going on right now. So I have these 2 posts here, and then I'm gonna pull it out to the length that I want and put posts down there. And then I'm gonna pull this fabric up out of the way and then basically scrape all the dirt like to the sides outside this lane, because I don't wanna waste any good soil under the fabric. I'm going to get that loafy stuff in mounds running in rows in between the plastic to plant to. So that would explain why it's like hurricane winds out here right now. It's because a big storm is blowing in. But I'm gonna take care of that now. We may or may not get to the rest of the raised beds today, but I would really like to get this taken care of, raked where I want it to, and then get that fabric down and taken care of before the rain hits. So that's what we're gonna be getting into now. All right, so a couple camera difficulties. First, my phone died. Then after my phone died, the wind blew my camera over. And then the next thing was I just forgot to start my camera. But I got 2 rows down, or 2 strips of walkway down. So this is the only bed that's kind of like prepared. And you can see like it's mounded up higher all the way down than the wheat fabric is. And you might see this wheat fabric has holes in it. That's from us planting down it. So I took another roll, or what I cut off at the end of this, and basically split it down the middle and ran another thin sheet under there, like a skinny sheet that blocked all the holes all the way down. So basically there's a 1.5 foot sheet of this under that to block those holes, so that I'm not, creating any waste, and I'm able to reuse this from last year and it not just be a total loss as well as just wasteful. But that's the bed right there, 4 foot wide bed. We're gonna make one more 4 foot wide bed over there with another row of this walkway on the other side as a weed barrier. And I'll just be raking more of this dirt to pile that in, the same as I did this side. And then these beds will be done for now, at least. And then I'll probably end up tarping over them. Now, the reason I'll be tarping over them is because we're not gonna be ready to plant for a while. And I don't want this just bare dirt chilling out here. Basically just getting ready for more weeds to grow in it. Like I said, this whole purpose is to try and combat the weeds as much as possible. So I'll probably tarp over these beds as much as I can in order to be able to prevent that from happening. I'll plan on topping this with compost. So we got a lot of soil. There's obviously like pig manure and stuff. There's even chicken manure in it now because they keep scratching around in this. But we're gonna put compost across the top of this just to, add another layer. And hopefully the plan is to keep layering and layering and layering on this season after season, and like basically continuing to add to the soil here. Maybe we might be able to get a couple of years out of these beds without having to move spots. And that's kind of the plan for now. All right, 3rd row finally complete. So we have walking paths on both sides of both of these beds here, and they are perfectly in line with where the other beds are gonna go. So basically everything's gonna be kind of symmetrical throughout. This is gonna step back one more row past where the rest of the beds go. But other than that, I think it's gonna look really good. We got the chickens pecking through a bunch of stuff out here too, which is a good thing, because believe it or not, chickens, if there is any seeds from weeds and stuff out there, they'll find them and eat them. Hopefully they don't tear up some worms while they're in there, because there's a lot of worms in there. But one way or the other, having chickens rummaging around this is not a bad thing right now. Now, something I did remember that I think is gonna be super awesome, especially because it's supposed to be this like huge storm or whatever tonight, and it's gonna be crazy amount of water dropping, and this is like freshly turned over dirt, and I don't want that to wash out, is I have a bunch of straw bales around the chicken coop from winterizing the coop all winter. And not only is it good straw, but it is wet already, and it probably has a bunch of chicken crap in it, which is going to be great to throw on top of this to help hold it down, hold moisture, as well as hold the dirt from washing out on this hard rain we're going to get. not so helpful about chickens is that they scratch up everything you're laying down. So at this rate, I'm gonna have to be back out here at dusk when they finally go to sleep to spread this back out this afternoon. Hopefully they don't freaking, bear the soil again, because once they get onto something, they won't leave it alone. I've shooed them away 50 times. They're coming right back, and they're basically just like completely clearing everything that I'm laying down. So yeah, chickens are totally fun. I have this like rogue group that doesn't stay at the coop, literally with that rogue rooster wherever he went. But he's their ringleader, and they just do whatever they want. Like basically, he never goes to the coop, and then they hop the fence and then follow him around. So yeah, well, I'm gonna finish getting the straw down because I'm gonna do around the beds and stuff too, because I want grass to grow back right here and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. But I think that's it for this video. I think this one's plenty long enough. There's a lot going on today. I did 2 different projects. I still got to finish the raised beds. So I'll finish those out. I'll probably come back in the next video when I'm filling them back up. And when we're putting the trellises up and all that other stuff, like when we're doing some of the finishing touches on everything. But that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys as always. And God bless all of you. Love all of you. And you all have a great afternoon, great evening, great morning, whatever time it is.